The X Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell is largely an opinion talk show. All opinions, comments, or statements of fact expressed by Rob McConnell's guests are strictly their own and are not to be construed as those of the X Zone Radio Show or endorsed in any manner by Rob McConnell, REL-MAR McConnell Media Company, the X Zone Broadcast Network, its affiliated networks, stations, employees, or advertisers.
All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
And welcome back, one and all. This is the X Zone. I am Rob McConnell, coming to you from our broadcast center and studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. If you'd like to send me an email, xzone@xzoneradiotv.com, on all social media sites, X Zone Radio TV. And if you'd like to find out the broadcast schedule for the X Zone Broadcast Network, it is www.xzbn.net. And for the X Zone TV channel, which is channel number 21 on Simul TV, www.simultv.com. Exonation, my first guest tonight is Marina Jacobi, and she was originally from Bulgaria. And welcome to the X Zone, Marina.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure.
Tell us a little bit about yourself. You were born in Bulgaria, and tell us about the transition that you made and the way you came from Bulgaria to the United States, and what you've been up to since you've been here.
Thank you. I was born in 1971 in the beautiful city Bulgaria, Varna, by the Black Sea. And it was an interesting life. It was a communism at that time.
Mm-hmm.
So life was pretty, I would say, challenging for everybody. I've learned a lot of stuff that was going on in the government. To grow up in poverty, it's not easy for a child or any child. So I experienced at that time when I was growing up from maybe 8 years old, very vivid dreams that were coming true. Predicted the death of my grandmother through a dream, and nobody trusts me, of course. I didn't know what was happening. And my mother had an expo. She went to an expo, psychic expo, because in Bulgaria we believe a lot of different beings and psychics. And one of the biggest psychics in the world was from Bulgaria. Her name is Baba Vanga. And when my mother came back from the expo, she came with two psychics, and they were doing energetic work around me, and they surrounded me, did something with their hands, and I almost passed out. And as soon as they saw me passing out, they did something different movement with their hands and fixed my, whatever I was feeling, I guess my energetic field. And this experience for me was so profound and so shocking that I started looking into everything. And my mother suggested to try to, perhaps try to do automatic writing and let it go and see what can happen. And I tried, and all behold, all of a sudden I started doing little circles, became sentences, and all the sentences were meaning, and I started to connect with different beings. I didn't know what they were, but I thought was from the other side. And this went through my whole, childhood. At age 19, I was able to get a visa, which was one of the happiest days in my life, to America, and which was actually impossible. And that's another story. This was really, really another story how I got to get the visa. because at my age, there was no way they were going to allow me. So through major connections and friends, I was able to get out of the country and came here legally, I may say that. And then after that, I married. I have two beautiful children, and through all this time, I had all this automatic writing, but I didn't think anything special. I never made a business of it, and just talk to friends and maybe tell them who died or what happened when they're dead, and they were sending messages to each other. And so, literally at 2010, while I was sitting actually in my son's room for some reason, and through my automatic writing, I ended up writing a picture of look like the grace. And I was in shock because I never had that connection before. I always talked to, so-called the dead and the other side. And all of a sudden, they said to me, "Hello, Marina, we are the hybrids." And I go, "Oh, what is that now?" And I was never afraid, because I remember when I was 8 years old, I wanted to write fiction, and I was always talking about extraterrestrials. I wanted to be a fiction writer. Mm-hmm. So I always approach everything with curiosity, never with fear. And when they told me that they were the hybrids, I was actually very curious, very, interesting for me what was happening. So they said to me, "Be careful what you're thinking, because everything you think, we can see it as a hologram." And that really intrigued me, because I love medicine and I love anything with physics. I'm a sucker for that. I really love that. So they start teaching me through automatic writing how the quantum structure works, of how our reality is created. And they were pointing fragments of a different scientist for me to see, but was never the whole information, was always a fragment of the information of each scientist. And I realized that nobody had the entire truth, but everybody had a piece of the puzzle. And then they start pointing out, I started listening to a lot of alternative media, like maybe Carrie Cassidy at that time, different, learn about different beings from her. And I've realized that humanity was basically completely manipulated. That led me to a lot of anger, disbelief. But in the meantime, the extraterrestrials were teaching me how everything works. And they told me, "Okay, now you know that this is basically what's happening in the planet and how humanity was suppressed and manipulated. Let us tell you how you can get out of all that." So what happened was that they were explaining to me that basically consciousness is made of one particle. And this particle vibrates in such a high speed of vibration that is appearing next to itself to infinite. And that one particle, when it's breathing, when it pulsates, expands like a nanometer to the entire universe and collapses to the entire verse to infinite. So basically what happened is, when consciousness and that one particle is created from sound vibrational sequences of trinity structure, three different frequencies combining with each other, they create this plasma molecule, which is magnetic and gravitational field. And that plasma of the molecule, you actually hold the entire energetic field of the entire universe. So it's so potent, it's so vast. And when you lower the vibration, and depending on the merging inside this energetic field, you create matter. And matter is a little bit more denser, and there are different types of matter. And what happened, they told me that there are different timelines in different parallel realities. The time is fractal. It's not moving, but it's shifting. You're actually shifting for every quantum millisecond from parallel reality and your parallel reality. But what was the most interesting, that it ended up being that you are the source, and that you're projecting everything out of your consciousness thought through your emotions like a projector, and everything you see around you is actually a hologram. And that hologram is actually what you see as a mirror image. So everybody that you see in your reality is actually projection of your thoughts, emotions
and
into your hologram.
And you really believe this?
Well, I experience stuff, yes, because when you go into quantum physics and metaphysics, what happened is that some other scientists prove, and what happened was that I was discovered by different scientists, and I start getting connection with scientists.
Which
what I was talking.
which scientists?
Well, one of them is Kevin Hay, and I belong in a group that basically the physics. If you go to my YouTube channel, which is the harmonic reactor.
All right. Well, we're not going to get into that right now. Let's just keep with the facts, because you're saying a lot of things that, to my knowledge, have not been proven yet.
Well, they're proven, but they are very proven if you really go to quantum physics and quantum mechanics. The truth is that in the mainstream, nothing like this is really being told, because if you know the really truth that you are the creator and you're projecting everything in your hologram, then you can shift timelines and parallel realities.
Well, all right, now slow down here, okay? We've got to take a break, and when we come back, I've got quite a few questions for you based on the first segment. We'll be right back. This is the X Zone. I am Rob McConnell. And we're coming to you from our broadcast center and studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. If you'd like more information on the X Zone, visit our website at www.xzoneradiotv.com. And don't forget, we're on channel 21 of the Simul TV network. That is the channel 21 for the X Zone TV channel. The X Zone, a place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard Monday through Friday from 10 p.m. Eastern until 2 a.m. Eastern, right here from our broadcast center and studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. I'll be back. Don't go away. Exonation, Marina Jacobi is our guest this hour. And Marina, I'm having a problem understanding how you can say that what we think of reality is nothing but a hologram. How can you prove that?
You can prove that by absolute science. All my material, if you look at the material that I have, I downloaded 2 books, which is the harmonic reactor and nanomaterial. Is exactly how the reality works.
Let me ask you to tell us. I don't want my listeners to go reading. I'd like you to tell us in as simple terms as you can why you believe that reality is a hologram and it's not real.
It's real if you want to believe it is real. Your consciousness actually of particles and molecules is producing this magnetic and gravitational field of a hologram. And if you combine all the structure, this is how it works in a quantum structure, because if you put your body under electronic microscope, you're not going to see bones and tissue. You're going to see only light. So we are created from magnetic and gravitational field of frequency that is combined.
Hold on here. Now, I've looked under electron microscopes. I've seen cells. I've seen matter that comprises the human body. So how can you try and tell me that this is not real, that all I'll see if I look through an electron microscope is just light?
Because you need to zoom into a certain frequency in order to see that.
But how do you use an electron microscope to zoom into a certain frequency?
Well, that's for the scientists to see. I am not particularly a scientist that end up, doing the experiments, but this is all proven. So if you start doing the research with the biggest scientists right now, everything I say is there. So this is the reason everything that I did was backed up, because it's simply how our reality is made. Everything that we've been told at school, nobody talks about Tesla and nobody talks about Otis car and the biggest inventions that are out there because it's proven exactly, or nobody talks about Dr. Raymond Rive that produced and healed cancer to frequency and sound.
So
That's because
everything up there is a conspiracy that we're not.
No.
Well,
What is
that's what you're saying.
conspiracy? Conspiracy will be based on your belief system, depending on what you're being told from somebody.
So how do we know what you're telling us is not part of a conspiracy to hide the truth?
Research, because anybody can tell you anything.
That's right.
But it's proven. So when you have a backup by science, then you cannot deny it.
Now, tell me about the extraterrestrials that you communicate with.
Well, they're the hybrids, and they're I connect with Pleiadians, and I connect with the Council of Nine, and then there's another group that is very ancient. And if you ask me for proof, it's only telepathic connection. It's almost like a phone call through different dimensional sequences, which is the same thing, similar to you calling somebody. Or you watching a TV, but when you watch TV, basically the remote control is controlling certain frequency for you to switch the channel. We think of realities by the TV, like you simply switching the channel. But when you start resonating in a higher consciousness, which is through the heart structure, you're starting to connect with different timelines of reality, the different beings and systems exist.
Okay,
it's not only the Earth.
All right, I got you. Now, a few minutes ago, you said that this entire reality world to us is been proven to be a holograph, right?
Hologram.
Well, what's the difference? Is it possible that your connection with these extraterrestrials, how can they be real if everything is part of a hologram? So what are you saying, that you deal with these extraterrestrials through a hologram?
Everybody is dealing through a hologram. The whole consciousness is based on a hologram. It's sequences of geometry, vibration, and numbers in combination. When this frequency combine in a certain vibration becomes dense magnetic and gravitational field, which is matter. You think the desk that you're touching right now, that is matter, but it's simply vibrational sequence of dense matter, dense frequencies.
So why is it if I was to hit my desk with my hand, I would hurt my hand if it's not real?
Because you have a friction between two different frequencies, which the body is a one energetic field of a frequency that you have, and the desk is a different energetic field that you have. And yet you're projecting those two at the same time in your hologram.
I find this very hard to believe, I must tell you.
But that's very good, because if we don't question everything, we're never going to learn.
But how do you know you're right? You could be being misled.
Yes.
So how do you know that what you're saying is true?
Because every single time when I was told something and I didn't pay attention, I was led to different scientific work or different brought to a different situation to prove me that whatever they were telling me was true. So if I didn't believe when they were talking about multiple reality that you existing at the same time, I thought that I completely lost it until I've listened to some other person that ended up saying 2 sentences. It was exactly whatever they were telling me, because I needed to have a connection of whatever they were saying to be true. And I never trusted in the beginning. I was just listening until every single time they told me something, and ended up being actually through synchronicities, I received different situations happening that put me into absolutely trusting them. Humanity is going through ascension process right now. The entire universe is going to another dimensional sequence of ascension. And we have to start, what that will do is to open up humanity to new understanding of how everything works around us. And once you know that you're the projector and that you are consciousness itself, you can actually control, rebuild, reconstruct, deconstruct different situations in your life that is based on your own belief system.
All right,
And
so if I understand what you're saying, that we can change our own reality and change our own destiny and future. The timeline does not exist, because if, in your way of thinking, time is actually part of the equation, what I did to change something in my timeline would affect the other timelines. And how do you justify that? Because what would be happening if I changed something in my timeline, then I would be changing something in everybody else's.
yes, but what one thing is, I have to go a little bit in the quantum structure. Time is
Keep it
fractal.
simple. Keep it
It's
simple for our
you
listeners.
actually shifting from parallel reality to parallel reality, similar to vibration parallel realities. You actually shift in every single moment to another parallel reality. You put a thought and you projecting frequency into the field, and then whatever that frequency is, this is what you're shifting the next momentum into. And when you keep shifting and shifting and shifting, this is how you create in a timeline. But this particular timeline has a specific frequency. So if you change your emotions, your thoughts, and your deeds, you can raise the frequency in a different vibration, which is going to give you a different type of fractal, basically, reality. And if you continue with the same frequency that is higher, that is going to create another timeline that has nothing to do with the lower vibration timeline. We're talking switching now about parallel realities and timelines, not only momentum in a fractal momentum.
And how do you know this? Are you
learning
no, wait a
everything
sec,
of
wait
the
a
way
sec.
they taught me?
Wait a sec. Let's get back to this reality, the reality that I believe in, okay?
Yes.
Because I deal in facts. I deal in evidence. I don't deal in woo-wooism.
Okay.
Fair
enough.
Okay? Now, where did you learn about quantum physics? What university did you go to?
I don't need to go to the
Why
university
not?
to know that.
Why?
Because what makes you think that in university the whole truth was there?
Well, I would rather listen to somebody who went to university, who's got a degree in science and would be able to give some credibility to what they're saying than to somebody
that's absolutely true. But
Yeah.
what about that credibility? What everything was taught there was completely different.
Well,
what about there's more information there that needs to be given in a way it was given because of what was happening?
I don't understand.
Okay, the planet Earth was...
Let me do something. Let me take a break here so I don't interrupt you, okay? We're going to take a break. We'll be right back. And Exonation, if you'd like more information on Mariana, her website is marinajacobi.com. And this is the X Zone in the world called Earth, in something that I called reality, from our broadcast center and studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, because you're listening to us. So it has to be real, or is this a figment of our imagination or a hologram? I'll stick to reality. We'll be back on the other side. Don't go away. Marina Jacobi is our guest. And Marina, let me start this segment off by asking you why the extraterrestrials decided to communicate with you and share this information with you and no one else.
Well, I don't believe it's only me. You can look into Magenta Pixie and a lot of other people that are actually downloading informations like this, and which is not shown in the mainstream media.
Why,
So
why,
you have
why do you think it's not shown in mainstream media?
because it goes into now, so you call it conspiracy theory. But what is conspiracy? How do you know whatever they tell you also is true?
They
So,
don't talk to us about aliens communicating with
well,
us,
of
and
course
they
not.
don't talk about the fringe topics that are covered by some offshoot members of the media. They don't talk about the world that we live in isn't real, it's a hologram. Because if it's really a hologram, why do we need rules? Why do we need regulations? Why do I have to pay my staff? Why do I have to pay the government my income tax? If it's not real, why do I need to do it?
Because everything runs on a frequency. And if they put you in a lower vibrational sequence, you're going to stay exactly in this type of hologram that planet was. If you know how to use the quantum structure and the alchemy of creation that they gave us, you can shift your timeline to a completely different timeline that this type of situations don't exist. They're based on a heart structure. This is the reason why everything was told was completely different.
All right, let me ask
I'm
you.
not
Let me ask
here
you. Hold
to
on here.
prove
Hold
it.
on
I'm
here. Hold
here
on
to
here.
give
Whoa, 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 whoa,
information.
whoa. No, you're here to prove what you say is true. That's what you're here
No,
for.
my
Yes.
job is to give the information.
But
And people
as a
watch it and
journalist,
want to believe that is up to them. But I'm not here to defend what I say.
no, but
I'm
you're
here to
here to
present it.
you're here to quantify what you're saying, because if you can't explain why people should listen to you and believe you, why do you go on radio? Why do you go on TV? Why do you have your YouTube channel? There must be a reason why you're doing it.
Yes, I'm doing it because I'm here just to present the information. I'm not here to convince you of what I need to do. That's why, because everybody's point of view is depending on their own quantum structure and whatever they did in their own reality.
Oh,
So I have no right to try to convince you of something that I did.
okay.
My job is to present the information,
And
and everybody has a right to take it the way they wish to.
you're right, they do have the right to take it. But it's my job in this reality to ask questions.
Yes.
Okay? And the questions I'm asking you is, how do you, all right, I'm having a problem trying to understand this entire thing about the multiple universes, the multiple vibrations, the hologram. It's very confusing.
Yes, I totally agree, because it's you're rewiring your synapses in a completely different structure, and that requires repetition for us as humans to do that, because you have to change the frequency vibration for that reality.
All right, slow down here, okay? Slow down. Maybe this is part of the problem because you're going very fast. In this reality, I'm talking to you. Are you in my reality now, or am I in your reality now?
Okay, very good question, actually. This is within my reality, I project your consciousness, because that's what I decide to do. Within your reality, you're projecting me as a mirror image of a consciousness, but what's happening here, you're actually talking to yourself through another version of you, because as I explained in the beginning, the one particle that universe is made of, when it's starting to flickering, is actually projecting itself next to itself, but to have an experience has to have a different version so you can have an experience. So in actuality, you're talking to yourself through another version of you, of the particle, and it's multiple realities in every single particle. So between your timeline and my timeline, we created a third structure between both of us, and that is quantum. 1 + 1 does not equals 2. In a quantum law, 1 + 1 equals 3, because between your reality and mine, we combine in a third.
Okay. That's your belief. You're entitled
Yes.
to it. But if your belief is the true belief and our belief is a hologram, Where do you spend most of your time? Do you spend it in sharing it in other realities, or do you spend your time somewhere else? What do you do with your time?
You are existing in the multiple realities at the same time, including beyond Earth reality. But the reason why you see, for example, only this reality, because you need to expand your consciousness band of the frequency of your memory bank into a different sequence, like a channel. And until we open up to exactly this type of a knowledge, that because they told me about, I have a serious quantum manifestation. If you look at it on YouTube, and they taught me step by step how the reality works and how you manifest through the structure. So you can choose what your reality should be, not what they tell you. For example, if they tell you on TV that there's a storm coming, you can actually switch your timeline of reality, and you may go through the storm, but everything is perfect, or all of a sudden everything changes, becomes very sunny. Because if you're sitting in front, reality is like a mirror image. If you're sitting in front of the mirror image, if you want that mirror image to smile, I'm sure you're not waiting the mirror image to smile so you can smile. It is the opposite. So in reality, you create your hologram by projecting your feelings and emotions. It's not what you see to believe, it's what I believe, what I project. That's what I'm shifting into. It's the opposite. And that's the quantum.
And the extraterrestrials taught you this?
The extraterrestrials and above extraterrestrials is actually a higher consciousness, which is a different type of existence, yes.
So why you and no one else? Why you instead of Albert Einstein, for example? Or
Albert Einstein knew part of it. I'm sure he knew part of it. Because there's no way, if you're in a quantum physics and you're a quantum physicist, not to have an idea about that. So if everybody goes, for example, listen to Greg Braden, he talks about that. There are a lot of scientists right now that talk about the stuff that I do, but it's simply, you have to really be interested to look at it. So because of my agreements, before you come to planet Earth and split your consciousness to experience, you have agreements. How do you want to experience it? Where do you want to go? And so I made an agreement to do this.
agreement with who?
With your other dimensional beings, because you are existing at the moment in a multiple realities, and the only reason you see only the Earth is because of the vibrational sequence that your consciousness is vibrating. When you expand your consciousness of quantum understanding and raise the frequency of your molecular structure and your vibration, then you're going to start seeing another reality simultaneously running with this reality. They basically told me that you're shifting. Imagine you going to the store and you're coming home is almost the same thing by shifting. But in order to do that, you have to know all the stuff of quantum manifestation, including how the alchemy works. This is what they gave us, the alchemy of creation. If you know the alchemy, you can shift and create any reality you want to, the way you wish to.
Now, you said a few minutes ago that by using this technique that you were given by the extraterrestrials, that if you could actually weather a storm and not be affected, you could actually make the sun come out if you wanted to shift, right?
Yes.
So why then do we see so much damage after a hurricane? Why do we see so much damage when there are other, for example, earthquakes? Why do we see this?
Because you believe that. You believe that it's really a storm coming, and if you believe, the emotion, all our emotions of frequency, if you believe 100% the storm is coming, then you're starting to project that frequency into the field around you, and you create a holographic reality that is really storm coming. But if you know the structure and how the alchemy works, you shut this down, this frequency and don't forget that when the storm is coming, somebody told you that the storm is coming, or you saw on TV.
Or what happens if I'm outside? What happens if I'm outside?
The same thing.
Wait a sec, hold on here. Okay, I'm outside and I look up in the sky and the sky is dark and I see rain, I hear thunder, I see lightning. That's a hologram?
That is a hologram. You can actually shift the timeline for this hologram by neutralizing the structure. By you cannot say to the storm, I cannot believe the storm is so bad, because when you do that, you're rejecting your own creation, because you're projecting this hologram. You cannot reject your own creation, because then the frequency is like a mirror image, is gonna reverse osmosis, is gonna come back to you. Whatever you project, it reflects back right to you.
All right, stand
So
by, please.
you gotta shut it down.
Okay, I'm going to do a bit of a
Okay.
shift of reality here, and
Okay.
because you know what, I just shifted reality and got rid of her because she's a frigging nut. Like, this lady is out to lunch. And I've had enough of her, and if I've had enough of her, I'm sure you guys have had enough of her. And, but she's a psychic. She knew this was going to happen. Or the extraterrestrial should have told her anyway. I'll be back on the other side of this commercial break as we continue here in the X Zone from our Real Broadcast Center in Real Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Really, don't go away or shift reality on me. Exonation, I do not know what to tell you. You know, I think that the loonies are out in full force these days. And this past guest, you know, is just another example of the garbage that is being spewed around the world by members of the New Age movement and those who actually believe that they are gifted. Now, this one here, wow. She's out to lunch. No doubt about it. Like, she is really gone out to lunch. She claims that she communicates, or the extraterrestrials from the Pleiades and other star systems communicate with her, and they told her about the creation of life. And she's spewing off all of this mumbo-jumbo about quantum physics, the quantum field, quantum mechanics. And she is making no sense whatsoever. No sense whatsoever. Now, if, in fact, she is in a different reality, which I really believe she is, because she's out to lunch and she's not dealing with all of this reality, I'll tell you that much. She mentioned Carrie Cassidy. Now, there's a red flag. There's another wingnut. You know, we had Carrie Cassidy on the show years ago, and she is just out to lunch. I'm not really talking to you. I'm talking to myself, because we're on different frequencies, different timelines, different this, different that. And what really blew me away was her ignorance when it came to the use of an electron microscope in science and in medicine. You know, I've looked through an electron microscope. I've been, you know, fortunate enough to actually see one in use. And I actually saw cells that, you know, and the wonderment of the human body that this electron microscope was able to bring to me was something just truly out of this world. And they weren't aliens who were talking to me or showing me this. They were what you and I, the members of the X Zone Nation, would call human beings in this reality. Now, when she was talking about, well, you know, if you want, you can switch frequencies or switch realities, and if you're, you know, facing a storm, you just shift realities. The sun comes out, and I would imagine in her little wingnut world, you all hold hands and sing Kumbaya, and the aliens come down on their spaceships, and they make little crop circles. And this is why, X Zone Nation, nobody takes these people legitimately or give them any any, what's the word I'm looking for here? Any credibility whatsoever. They talk, they make no sense. They're convinced that they make sense, and that's the sad part. This is where I believe she's in her own reality, and, she's just kind of plunked here and surrounded by the rest of us in this real world. And I don't know how they expect to change the world. I've got a solution for them. Look at the world as real. We're not lying to ourselves that what we see isn't real. 2 facts of life: we live, we die. Another fact of life: from the moment we are conceived, that is the moment we start to die. In my opinion, this is another example of someone who cannot face reality. The fact that she was brought up in a psychic home whose mother brought in 2 psychics and they did their woo-woo magic on her, she believes in this stuff. If she is any part of a psychic, she should have known what I was going to do. But what was her aim? Why does she do what she do? Well, she wants to spread the message. Why? Why? Do people really believe this stuff? Whatever happened to a little word called reality? I hit my desk. That wasn't sound waves. That was me hitting my desk. And yes, we all know that everything is not solid, that there's molecules, there's atoms, and, we all know that. So stop trying to make us look stupid. We all know that. But they try to bamboozle because they use buzzwords: quantum physics, quantum mechanics, frequencies, and all this new age jumbo mumbo that people who have a head on their shoulders really don't buy. They really don't. There are people out there who make sense when they talk, and unfortunately she wasn't one of them. Some of the questions that she wanted to talk, what you want to talk about was ETs and the human reactor material. What are the advanced extraterrestrial technologies? What is artificial intelligence? Whoa, now there's a heavy one, yeah. The difference between Archon AI and fifth dimensional AI. And we're talking about more new age jumbo mumbo. I wonder if she pays her taxes, or if she kind of skips off to another reality when it's tax time. I wonder if she has problems parking her car wherever she is, if she just kind of goes to another reality, parks her car somewhere else, and then comes back. And how does she get her car to another reality? I should have asked her that before I was vindicated when I kind of got rid of her from this reality and sent her back to her own reality. Is the world that screwed up that we need to listen to this kind of information or disinformation? You want to talk about disinformation, it's not the government. It's these kind of people. And the internet is to blame. I blame the internet. As I've said many times, it is the largest septic tank in the world because there's more crap in it than anything else. Anybody can say anything without having to validate anything they say. And this is a perfect example. $12 or $13 for a domain name, $100 a year for hosting, and you can become an expert. Wow, here we have a lady who is talking to the aliens. No, the aliens talk to her. From Bulgaria, home of the greatest psychics. We don't need this. I won't put up with it. I will not tolerate it. I will not promote it. I will do everything in my power to disseminate it and destroy it. It's crazy when you think of all this crap and corruption that is being spewed out by these people who actually believe what they're saying, because at the end of the day, there's a dollar value somewhere for them. Follow the money. People do this for a reason. She has no scientific training whatsoever. They were her words. So where did she get her training? Oh, wait a minute, I'm sorry. The extraterrestrials taught her. Why her? Why not somebody who can actually do something about it? A present-day scientist. Somebody who has the ability to validate what the so-called extraterrestrials are talking about. I often wonder if these people would pass a lie detector test, a polygraph test. And then a good friend of mine who's a polygraph examiner told me, he said, Rob, if they believe what they're saying is the truth, they'll pass. That's a fact. So how do we handle this exonation? What do we do? How do we keep people like this in check? Well, I know what we are going to do. We're going to add her name to the X Zone Order of Woo-Woos. And that's at www.xzoneorderofwoo-woos.com. Because I don't believe anything she said. And when she brings in Carrie Cassidy, that just kind of sealed the deal right there. I don't think extraterrestrials talked to her. In fact, I'm willing to bet on it. And we're going to do a lot of checking, and I will let you, the Exo Nation, know what we find out. Because something doesn't sit right with me on this one. I'm tired of people coming on the show trying to spew their garbage to you, the members of the Exo Nation. And because of the email I get from you, I know that you appreciate it. And this is what I'm here for. I'm here to bring these people on. If they want to come on and they want to spew this stuff and then they don't want to be challenged, well, I'm not here to convince you. Oh, yeah, you are. If you're coming on this show and you're making statements, by God, you better be able to back them up. Or else I'm going to do to you what I did to this person, send them to another dimension or another reality. Figuratively, that is, by simply disconnecting the phone. I'll be back on the other side of this break as we continue right here from our broadcast center and studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. This is the X Zone. I am Rob McConnell. Please don't go away. And if you do, let me know what it's like in that other reality.